Amsterdam is one of those cities that arrives before you do. You've already seen the canals, the tilted houses, the bicycles stacked along bridges like they grew there naturally. It looks less like a real city and more like a painting that decided to become three-dimensional. And then you actually arrive. Because here's what nobody warned you about. Amsterdam has a gap, a serious one, between what you imagined and what you're actually walking into. Not because the beauty isn't real, it absolutely is. But because beauty doesn't prepare you for how this city actually operates, how fast it drains your wallet, and how the version most tourists experience is genuinely not the real city at all. So what is Amsterdam actually like? Here are 10 things that explain what this city is really about. Beyond the postcards. 10. The moment you arrive, the city is already testing you. Amsterdam Centraal isn't just a train station. It's one of the most architecturally stunning arrivals in all of Europe, and one of the highest concentration scam zones on the continent. The second you step off that train, you're in a loud, crowded, disorienting environment. Jet-lagged tourists with luggage and phones already out. Distraction scams and bag snatches cluster right here, along the main stretch toward Dam Square. The fix is simple, but it matters. Know your route before you leave the platform. Keep your phone in your pocket until you're somewhere quieter. Amsterdam rewards awareness from the very first minute, and it finds the people who arrive without it just as quickly. 9. The bicycles are not a charming detail, they are the entire system. Amsterdam has over 500 kilometers of dedicated cycling lanes, bike-specific traffic lights, infrastructure built around two wheels in a way no other European capital has fully matched. Renting a bike here doesn't just change how you move, it changes what you see. You stop being a tourist connecting landmarks on a map and start actually moving through the city the way people live inside it. But Amsterdam cycling is not casual. Locals move fast and don't slow down for hesitation. The tram tracks will catch your wheel if you hit them at the wrong angle. Ride with confidence and it becomes one of the finest experiences the city offers. Show up without understanding how it works and it becomes a very different kind of story. 8. The famous neighborhoods are real, but the better ones are one bike ride away. Most tourists spend their entire trip in a tight radius around the main landmarks and never discover what Amsterdam actually feels like from the inside. De Pijp sits just south of the tourist belt. Independent restaurants, real coffee shops, a community of actual residents. The Albert Kuip market here is the largest open-air market in the Netherlands and genuinely one of the best in Europe. The Jordaan is technically well known, but it earns the mention. Narrow streets, hidden courtyards called hofjes that most visitors never find, canals quiet enough that you can hear your own footsteps. The restaurants are better, the bars are smaller. Nobody nearby is dressed for an ironic group photo. These aren't secrets, they're just one layer past where the crowd is pointing. 7. The red light district is not what anyone thinks it is. During the day, this is one of Amsterdam's oldest and most genuinely interesting neighborhoods. Medieval architecture, narrow alleys, and a real ongoing conversation about what this area should become. It carries serious history. After dark on a Friday or Saturday, it becomes something completely different. Overpriced bars, streets that are nearly impossible to move through, tourist traps at their most concentrated. The actual neighborhood gets buried completely under the crowd that came to tick a box. Go during the day. Walk it slowly. Just don't confuse the weekend version for the real thing, because they are not the same place. 6. The food will surprise you, but not always pleasantly. Amsterdam is not a great food city by the standard of most Western European capitals. Tourist-facing restaurants near the main attractions largely operate on the assumption that you're only here once and won't be coming back to complain. But the city has real strengths in unexpected places. The Dutch pancake, thin, slightly crispy, available in savory or sweet, is one of the most underrated things you can eat anywhere in Europe. Indonesian food here is legitimately excellent, and it makes complete historical sense. Indonesia was a Dutch colony for over 300 years. That culinary relationship runs deep. A rijsttafel, multiple small Indonesian dishes served together, is something Amsterdam does better than almost anywhere outside Southeast Asia. The rule is straightforward. Avoid any restaurant displaying a photo menu outside. Avoid anything within 2 blocks of the major museums. Go one street further, and the quality difference is immediate. 5. The museums are one of the few places where reputation matches reality. Amsterdam's museum offering is one of the rare areas where what people say and what you actually experience line up. And then reality goes slightly further. The Van Gogh Museum holds the largest collection of his work anywhere in the world. Pre-booked timed entry is not optional. It is the difference between walking straight in and standing in a 2-hour queue. The Anne Frank House is a different category entirely. It is not a conventional museum, it is a preserved hiding place. Walking through it is sobering in a way that is genuinely difficult to describe before you've done it. It sells out weeks in advance. Book as early as possible. If you're spending more than a day in Amsterdam, this is not something you skip. 4. The pricing gap is larger than anyone warns you about. Amsterdam is expensive, not slightly above average. Genuinely one of the costlier cities in Western Europe. And the gap between what you pay and what you receive in tourist-facing areas is significant. A coffee costs what a meal costs elsewhere. A mid-range dinner for 2 hits triple digits without much effort. Central accommodation is some of the most expensive on the continent. The practical approach: build a realistic budget before you arrive, then add more buffer than you think you need. The city is worth it. But it requires going in with clear eyes, not assumptions built on travel content that skipped the honest part. 3. The canals are the one thing that fully delivers on every promise. The canals look extraordinary in photographs. Then you arrive and they are better than the photographs. The light on the water in the late afternoon, the houseboats, the crooked buildings leaning toward each other over the water in a way that looks structurally impossible and has somehow stood for 400 years. Getting on the water in a small open boat rather than a large tourist barge changes the city completely. An evening trip in summer when the light goes golden and the city quiets down is the moment Amsterdam becomes exactly what it always promised. And it is worth everything it takes to get there. 2. Preparation is not optional here. It is the entire difference. Amsterdam is not a city to approach with fear, but it requires something most tourists genuinely underestimate: real preparation. Understanding which areas work differently, how the transport system functions, where tourist pricing concentrates, and how to move through the city rather than simply be carried through it. These things determine whether a visitor gets a surface experience or a real one. The city rewards the prepared in a way that becomes obvious almost immediately. 1. Amsterdam is more layered than its reputation ever admits. Amsterdam cannot be reduced to canals and coffee shops, and it cannot be reduced to a warning either. It is one of the most architecturally beautiful cities in Europe. It is also a city that charges for that beauty at a pace that catches people completely off guard. It has world-class museums, extraordinary food in unexpected places, neighborhoods that feel genuinely alive, and a cycling culture that transforms how you understand urban space entirely. But the best version of Amsterdam is always one step behind where the crowd is looking. Tourists arrive with strong expectations and leave with something far more complicated. A city that was both exactly what they imagined and nothing like what they actually expected. That gap right there is the real Amsterdam experience. Amsterdam is not a city that fits into a single description. It is shaped by history, beauty, cost, contrast, and a culture that consistently rewards the visitor who bothers to look past the very first layer. The experience depends almost entirely on preparation, awareness, and the willingness to move away from the obvious. If you want more real, honest breakdowns of cities that are far more complex than their reputation, subscribe. That's exactly what we do here.